what they seem. Egyptologist Erika Felig has spent 7 years studying the enormous hypostyle hall. She's looking for clues to the architect of the largest temple on site.
If you look closely, you can see traces of what used to be the outlines of some of the hieroglyphs that were part of that initial decoration.
Erika believes these faint scratches, hidden beneath the main inscription, are the scrubbed-out remains of another pharaoh's mark. Once Erika identifies the overwritten text, she checks it out in real life. She uses mirrors to manipulate the daylight to help the faint carved lines stand out.
So the 2 large ovals you can see contain the names of Ramses II, and behind them you can still see the outline traces of Seti I.
At key points in the hall, especially along the grandest and most visible central walkway, Ramses' name overwrites that of his own father, Pharaoh Seti I.
And you can still see the faint traces towards the left side of the Ramses II.
Ramses was desperate to replace his father's name with his own, but the old pharaoh had made his son's deception almost impossible to pull off. Ramses' father was an art connoisseur. His carvings were elaborate, with deep outlines and raised figures. So when Seti died and Ramses took the throne, the new pharaoh faced an uphill task to erase the memory of his predecessor. Ramses erected scaffolding around the pillars. He chopped the raised images off, but he still couldn't get rid of the deep outlines. In his haste, he scraped his name on top in simple sunk relief carvings. Finally, he used a thin layer of plaster to conceal the faint traces of his father, which the weathering of time has only now revealed. The Great Sphinx of Giza. This ancient sculpture is unsurpassed in its scale and ambition.
Never before had anything like this been seen in Egypt. No colossal statue this size, this scale existed.
Egyptian stonemasons cut the Sphinx from limestone bedrock more than 4,000 years ago, most likely to honor the great pharaoh Khafre. Historians believe the human features of the Sphinx are a direct likeness of the pharaoh himself. But over thousands of years, the harsh desert wind has sandblasted Khafre's carved features away, leaving just a few tantalizing clues as to how the sculpture originally looked. The deep cuts in the face are chisel marks, left by vandals who chopped off the nose. Based on other statues of the time, this is what the nose may have looked like. Stone fragments found between the paws are clues that the Sphinx had a beard. Traces of paint behind the ears could mean that it used to wear heavy makeup. And what looks like hair is actually a regal headdress, framing the immortal face of the god king Khafre himself. To impress his people, Khafre ordered the construction of the biggest statue in Egyptian history. But there was a problem. No animal carving this big had ever been attempted before. To achieve it, Mark Lehner thinks the Egyptian craftsman must have learned how to exploit the natural layers of the rock.
We've been looking at the layers in the Sphinx quarry where they cut the blocks. But it all tells you that the Egyptians were good geologists in their own right. They used the geology and the layers to their advantage, that's for sure.
Mark's investigations suggest that the Egyptians would pound trenches into the bedrock to form a grid of deep channels and expose the layers of limestone. They drove wooden wedges between the layers to split them with ease and lift out perfect building blocks. As they excavated the rocks, they carved out the rough shape of the Sphinx, and recycled the spoil to build the temples. Finally, an army of stonemasons used copper chisels to add the detail of the pharaoh's face and lion's body.
And the combination of the human head with the lion body symbolizes supreme strength and power, as in many cultures, the lion is the symbol, is the king of the beasts. And yet, the beast is controlled by human intelligence. Indeed, the intelligence of Pharaoh himself